air brake test. Now I'm going to set my brakes, put the truck in first gear, shut truck off, take my keys, chuck my wheels, exiting the vehicle using 3 points of contact. Now I will begin my in-cab pre-trip inspection. At this point, you may ask the trooper for the checklist before beginning. I'm going to put my key in the ignition and put it to the on position only. I will check my lighting indicators. All my warning and indicator lights work, including all 3 check engine lights, my ABS lights on the dash and trailer, my 4 DEF lights indicating a full tank of diesel exhaust fluid. Now I will safe start my engine. My truck is in neutral, parking brakes are set, starting the engine. All my warning lights have turned off, including the ABS light on the trailer, and there are no unusual sounds to the engine. My left directional indicator works, my right directional indicator works, my 4-way indicators work, my high beam indicator works. Now to my emergency equipment. My fire extinguisher is secure, it's the proper type, fully charged, and within reach. I have 2 chalk blocks at the rear wheel. I have 3 red reflective triangles. I have spare bulbs and fuses. My seat belt is not cut, worn, or frayed, and I have one for the passenger as well. My windshield and traffic monitoring devices. My windshield is clean, not cracked or broken, and I have no obstructions. My door and fender mirrors are clean, not cracked or broken, and they are adjusted for me. Now to my wipers and washer. My windshield wipers work on low and high speed, and they make good contact with the glass. There are no damaged, worn, or missing blades. My heater and defroster. My heater works. My defroster works. Now I'm going to check my horns. My city horn works. My air horn works. That completes my in-cab pre-trip inspection. Now I will move on to my exterior pre-trip. I will secure the truck by putting the truck in first gear, checking my parking brakes are set, turning the truck off, and placing the keys inside my pocket. I'm going to exit the vehicle using 3 points of contact. My truck is not leaning to the left or to the right, forwards or backwards. You see no puddles on the ground, which would indicate a leak. My trailer is clearly marked at 13 feet 6 inches high. It is 102 inches wide. My tractor is also 102 inches wide. My gross vehicle weight rating for my tractor is 33,000 pounds, and my gross vehicle weight rating for my trailer is 40,000 pounds. I'm going to check my external lights and lenses. All my lights and their lenses and covers are the proper color, which is amber in the front, except the headlights, which are clear. They are all clean, not cracked, dirty, or broken, and they work. I have 2 box lights on the trailer, 2 cab lights on the outside of the cab, 3 ID lights in the center indicating the vehicle is over 80 inches wide, my 4-way flashers, and headlights. Now I'm going to open the hood. This is where I check the oil. To check it, I would remove the dipstick, wipe it off, put it back in, then remove it again. The oil must be between the add and full marks. This is where I would fill it if the oil is low. The 2-stage coolant reservoir is secure and not leaking. This is where I would check it to be sure it's between the add and full lines. This is where I would fill it if it's low. Never remove the cap on a hot engine. All coolant hoses are secured and not leaking, with no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. They are secured with hose clamps on both ends. My power steering reservoir is secured and not leaking. This is where I check the level. This is where I would fill it if it's low. All lines are secure and not leaking. The fittings at either end of the power steering hoses are properly clamped on. There are no puddles on the ground. I do not see any dripping fluid. My air lines have no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. All fittings are secure, and I do not hear any air leaks. My steering system. My steering box is secured and not leaking. Hoses are attached and not cracked, worn, or leaking. My links, arms, and rods are all secure from the steering box to the wheels, with no broken or missing parts, such as nuts, bolts, or cotter keys. They are not worn or cracked, and the joints and sockets are not worn or loose. My tires. This is an original tire. It has a minimum of 4/32 inch tread depth because it's a steer tire, and I check it with a tread depth gauge. There are nothing stuck in the tread, no tread separation, no abrasions, bubbles, bumps, or cuts on the sidewalls. The valve stem is centered with a metal cap. The tire is inflated to 100 psi, which I check with a tire gauge. My rims. Rims are not damaged, cracked, welded, or bent on the inside or out. My bolt holes are not elongated. I have 10 lug nuts. They are not loose, broken, or missing. There are no rust trails or shiny threads that could indicate looseness, and the lug threads show no distortion. My spring mounts and shocks. My leaf springs are aligned, no cracked or broken or missing leaves, and are attached to the axle with 2 U-bolts. My spring mount and spring shackle are both secured with no missing or broken nuts or bolts. My shock absorber is secured at top and bottom with nuts and bolts and is not damaged or leaking. My brake lines. My brake line is secured and not leaking. It can supply air, and it is not cracked, worn, or frayed. The couplings and fittings at the frame and at the brake chamber are secure and not corroded or leaking. There is no oil or grease contamination on my brake drum or brake linings that could indicate a leak. Now I'm going to close my hood and start on the driver's side. My traffic monitoring devices. My fender mirror is securely mounted. The bracket is not bent and there are no missing parts. My door mount mirror is securely mounted. The bracket is not bent and there are no missing parts. My battery. The battery box and cover are both securely attached. The batteries are held securely by a tie down. All visible connections are tight and show no signs of excessive corrosion. My fuel tanks and DEF tank. My DEF tank is securely mounted to the frame with no missing nuts or bolts. The cap is secured with a plastic strap and a rubber gasket. Tank and lines are not leaking. My fuel tank is securely mounted. My cap is secured with a metal chain and a rubber gasket. My tank and lines are not leaking. My frames. The tractor frame and cross members are straight with no cracks, broken welds, or extra holes. The trailer frame and cross members are straight, no cracks, welds, or holes. There are no cracks or holes in the trailer floor. The frame at the trailer axle is straight with no cracks or broken welds. Now I'm going to move on to my air and electric lines. This is my emergency line. This is my service line. This is my electrical cord. The air and electrical connectors are properly seated and sealed, free of damage, and locked into place at both the tractor and trailer. All my lines are not cut, cracked, chafed, spliced, taped, or worn. They are not tangled, crimped, or pinched, and they are not rubbing against anything or dragging on the catwalk or ground. I can't see any steel braid or electrical conductor on the electric lines, and I do not hear any air leaking from the air lines. Moving to my fifth wheel. My platform is securely mounted to the tractor frame with no broken or missing nuts or bolts on both sides. My skid plate is securely mounted to the platform with 2 pins and cotter pins. There are no cracks, breaks, or excessive wear, and it is properly greased. My kingpin is in place. It is straight, not bent, damaged, or worn. The apron is not bent, cracked, or broken with no holes. And there is no space between the apron and the skid plate. The jaws of the fifth wheel are locked around the kingpin with no play. My release lever is in a lock position with the safety catch over it. My sliding fifth wheel locking pins are not damaged and fully engaged in the correct position. Moving to my landing gear. My landing gear is in a fully raised position and it has no missing parts. The crank handle is properly stowed. The sport frame and sand pad pins are not damaged. The fifth wheel is properly positioned so there is plenty of space between the tractor frame and the landing gear during turns. The reflective DOT tape on the side of the trailer is present and affixed securely on more than 50% of the length of the trailer. All my lights, lenses, and covers on the side of my vehicle are the proper color. They are all clean, not cracked, dirty, or broken, and they work. I have a fender marker light. A center marker light, which indicates the trailer is over 30 feet long. My ABS light and my rear trailer marker light. I'm going to move to the rear of the truck. All my external lights and lenses. All my lights and lenses and covers are the proper color, which is red in the rear. They are all clean, not cracked, dirty, or broken, and they work. I have 2 box lights, 3 ID lights indicating that the trailer is over 80 inches wide, hazard flashers, and tail lights. The reflective DOT tape on the rear of the trailer is present and affixed securely across 100% the width and is between 15 and 60 inches above the ground. Trooper, at this time I'm going to get back into the cab. Would you like to help me check that the lights work? I'm going to proceed to the cab of the truck. I'm going to release my brakes. I'm going to turn my left turn signal indicator on. Please give me a thumbs up. My right turn signal indicator on. Give me a thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up when my brake lights come on and a thumbs down when they come off. Then I will proceed to I would have you proceed to the front of the truck. I would have you check my left indicator that works with a thumbs up, my right indicator work with a thumbs up, and my high beam indicator work with a thumbs up. My left indicator works. My right indicator works. My brake lights work. Now I'm proceeding to the front of the truck. My left indicator works. My right turn signal works. My high beams work. At this point, I would get out of the truck using 3 points of contact and explain to the trooper that this completes my exterior pre-trip inspection.